Folks, it's official. We are entering the age of Unlightenment. My friend, a true feminist in the best sense of the word, and a fearless defender of free speech, Christina Hoff Sommers, was invited to speak at Lewis and Clark Law School this week. Here's what happened when she began her talk.
Check! Mic check! We choose! We choose! To protest! To protest! Male supremacy! Male supremacy! Not give it! Not give it! A platform! A platform! Christina Sommers has repeatedly delegitimized the suffering of women! The suffering of women! Worldwide! But we believe! Our siblings! And our comrades! Women are not! Liars with victim mentalities! Rape culture is not a myth! Microaggressions are real! The gender gauge gap is real! Trans people are real! Trans lives matter! Black lives matter!
Putting aside the creepiness of the clone-like repetitive chanting from the protesters, their use of free speech actually isn't a use of free speech at all. While of course they have the right to protest, your right to exercise your free speech doesn't come at the expense of someone else's right to exercise theirs. So what this means is, yes, you can peacefully protest outside of an event. You can silently protest inside of an event. You can hold all the signs you want, and you can encourage others to join your cause. You cannot, however, use your freedoms to trample on the freedoms of others. This chanting, which again took place before Christina had even begun to speak, reminded me of when I was at UCLA with Milo Yiannopoulos about 2 years ago. Protesters screamed, spit, threw garbage cans, pulled fire alarms, and even called in bomb threats before we even took the stage. Perhaps most egregiously, though, was the group of students who linked arms to create a human wall to stop us and other viewers from even going inside the venue itself. Apparently, they aren't against walls, they just don't like Trump's wall. Christina's talk continued through the chanting, and the protesters then broke out in song.
Which side are you on, friends? Which side are you on? No platform for fascists, no platform at all. We will fight for justice until Christina's gone. Which side are you on, friends? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, friends? Which side are you on?
Quite a catchy tune, wouldn't you say? Of course, Christina Hoff Sommers isn't a fascist at all. She's just an old school liberal who dare challenge modern day leftism. Ironically, these people so keen on fighting the fake fascism in their minds don't understand that they themselves are the ones who are actually using fascist tactics of silencing and drowning out their opponents until there is no opposition remaining at all. But if you're still confused, here's a simple definition of fascism. Fascism is a form of radical authoritarian nationalism characterized by dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition, and control of industry and commerce, which came to prominence in early 20th century Europe. Do you think that Christina Hoff Sommers is for dictatorial power? Is she for forcible suppression of opposition? To top it off, she even works at the American Enterprise Institute, which is against control of industry and commerce. Now just think for a moment if the ideas that these students were espousing were the set of ideas in power. They actually would be for dictatorial control, as they believe their cause is the most just and their opponents are simply evil. How do you think it would be going for dissent and opposition in their system? Perhaps the most insidious piece of the cultural Marxism that we see spreading on college campuses these days is that it is using the freedoms that our democratic capitalist society has against itself. Of course, it would never offer these same protections to minority voices in the dystopian future that it would bring. While this event thankfully wasn't nearly as violent as when Milo went to UC Berkeley and the school burned down, or when it took $600,000 of security to ensure that Ben Shapiro could speak there without threat, This display at Lewis and Clark is just another reminder of how the backwards thinking of cultural Marxism is coming for all dissenters, cloaked in the mask of tolerance and diversity. These incidences are happening all over colleges, all over the country, and turning places of higher learning into places where people are just getting high on intersectionality. Sadly, this story really only broke on right-leaning blogs and was only shared by the usual suspects who continually defend freedom of expression. As of recording this, I haven't seen any left-leaning websites that covered it. The reason for this, of course, is twofold. On one hand, when you can win arguments by silencing your opponents, your job is pretty easy. But also, and perhaps more importantly, the good actors on the left, which I still believe there are some, who want to call out events like this, rarely do because they know that the same tactics of smearing and silencing will eventually be used against them, and then they'll be purged from their former home. Just ask former guests of mine like Brett Weinstein, Laura Kipnis, Lindsay Shepard, and others who dare speak out against this tyrannical faux diversity movement. The silver lining, though, of course, is that the more that people like Brett, Laura, and others speak out, the more room they give for people like you to do the exact same in your life. And speaking of Berkeley, I'll be there tomorrow, Thursday night, hosted by the Berkeley College Republicans. I'll be joined by Heather McDonald and Steve Simpson. We'll be live streaming the event right here at youtube.com/Rubin Report at 8 p.m. Pacific time. Come join us and ask us as many hard questions in the Q&A at the end as you'd like. I ask only one thing of you, which is that if you sing, please make it a little snappier than what we just heard. A cover of Journey, Fleetwood Mac, or even Frank Sinatra would be preferable.